Please excuse that earlier outburst. I was making my marks on paper and realized I had left something in the oven. So if I can't erase it when I submit it, it's going to be in there. I apologize. But as you can see, this is how I normally fill up a page of paper. If I was going to do a subtractive method, I would do just this, and I would typically start from the upper right all the way down to the lower left because I am left-handed. And I'm mainly just trying to put down marks just to fill out the background. So there's not really any attempt at hashing or cross hashing, just me laying down broad marks. And again, the reason why you see the marks being made and the stylus no longer moving is because I have an older computer, and so I have to let it kind of work in its own way. So I'll begin back to where I see the areas that's too light. I'll go back and kind of get some of those again. Then I start to the lower left, go back to that light area again, go over here to the edge, try to get some of these white spots. Here, go back to that center line that appeared there again, go back to this light area and attempt to work. And then I'll let it process the strokes. So once again, I'm letting the computer catch up with the strokes I made on the canvas, and once they catch up a little more, I'll start continue to lay down marks on the virtual canvas, and then I will begin to take my first tentative subtractive mark. Okay, we'll continue to fill in the virtual canvas with the marks of the charcoal type style brush. For some reason, I have this line just right here that seems to want to persist. I need to kind of get rid of that there. So it won't just be a streak within my composition, just a random streak. I have the brush set to 100% opacity just to make sure that it doesn't take as long to fill in the black additive strokes to the canvas. Okay, again, I'm going to let the computer catch up with my strokes. See if we can get this thing blocked out, and then we will go ahead and start with the initial marks. Sorry for any delay, but of course I have to let this system do what it does, because otherwise it will freeze up and really slow down my process. Now, also, just as a point of reference, the marks that I've made, they're larger marks than I would normally naturally make, and the reason for that is because I'm trying to cover the whole canvas with this dark charcoal type mark. Otherwise, my marks would probably be about half the length of what you see these marks to be. But again, the reason why I did the variation is just to make sure I cover as much of the digital canvas as possible with these charcoal marks. Okay, it looks like I was able to get rid of that streak down the near center, so that's good. Okay, I'm gonna again start back to applying strokes. See if I can go ahead and get this finally filled out, so I can go ahead and begin to make my initial subtractive marks. Thank you. Again, just for reference, the strokes that I'm taking are larger than my natural strokes that I would normally take when drawing or even painting. But again, I'm doing that to make sure I cover as much ground in an efficient way. Okay, let it process again. Now would it seem like that persisted diagonal markers just moved down to the lower left, but the same type of persistent mark. So let's see if I actually am able to fill it out in a reasonable amount of time. I'm gonna just let it do what it needs to do, and then I'll try to make some more marks if it still looks too pale, too gray. Okay, I'm gonna go back to that white area. I think it's still processing, but it just seems like it's so persistent. I'm just gonna kind of add some more marks to it so I can kind of get to what I'm here to do. And it's not just to fill this background with black marks. Let it process. This lower diagonal line seems to be so very persistent. It's taking a little while to fill up for whatever reason. I'll give it a few more moments, see if I can see if it will go ahead and fill all the way up. I do see it. It seems like it's getting darker. Now, normally, if this was like a gaming computer or like a media computer, this wouldn't take as long. But because this is just your run-of-the-mill standard home computers, doesn't have processing power as you might have an actual digital studio or something like that. Well, I no longer see any marks being made, so I'm going to go back to this persistent line and try to fill it out again, because this seems to be, just wants to stay there, and I need it to be pretty even across the whole part of the canvas. Okay, let's see what it does. Yeah, it's taking a while to get that area blacked out, but I'm gonna let it do what it needs to do, and hopefully in the next few moments it'll be completely blacked out. Now, as far as the eraser that I'm going to utilize, I hadn't really done a lot of subtractive work using this program, so yeah, there it goes. I am probably going to use. I'm probably going to initially use a smaller point to it, uh, the square hard brush. I'm going to set it not too wide, just just a little bit smaller, and then I'm going to begin to make the marks. Now, the still life I'm going to use. I'm sitting here in our den, and there's an area on the counter that I see. It's nice, got a lot of nice perspective and shadow. So I'm going to attempt to start making marks on that and see what I can do. Okay, so there is a cabinet that is joined to the wall, but right about here. Oh, I forgot to change the. I'm not quite sure what happened there. I think I changed the brush too soon while it was still processing. So let me give it a minute to do what it needs to do, because it had blacked out, and then you see this. Okay, there it goes. So yeah, I must have. Yeah, I started working. It kind of started lagging behind. Now, I guess the good thing about the computer being slower than I would like, it kind of makes me make marks intentionally. I mean, there's a plus to that, I suppose. Okay, I'm gonna give it a few more minutes, see if I see that initial mark that I made in the upper right. If not, I'll go ahead and make another mark. I'm probably just gonna make about 2 or 3 marks on this just to give you an idea of how I work. Um, I hadn't been in a drawing class in over 30 years, so any insights help me get past ugly, what I call getting past ugly, would be very helpful. Okay, so there is a place right here where the cabinet meets the wall. I'm gonna try to mark that out there. It's probably too long, but to be honest with you, this is kind of going slower than I anticipated. And I think it's because I'm recording in the background as well, and that's probably pulling a lot of processing power from the CPU. Okay, so after the marks finally colored with my strokes, that is way too large. So I'm gonna leave that here for now, because I mean there is a white wall, so that actually may work. So then what I would normally do is try to build out the shape of the cabinets. I hadn't done this kind of thing in a while. Let me see. And you see, this here is my natural stroke length. It's about like this. You know, and what I probably would do, instead of having the hard square brush, I may get a softer brush, because I feel like I'm subtracting too much. Feel like I'm subtracting too much of the background. So this is a little better, I think. It kind of gives me not such a stark a stark line against the butt. What I probably would do on the right hand side is probably come back in with the charcoal brush and kind of like darken that up a little bit. I'm just gonna leave that here for now. Just this is primarily to show you how I would apply the strokes. Um, the bottom is about right here of the cabinet. Now, as I clean up my marks, I will move the move my screen around, but I'm just trying to lay down some marks to kind of, like I said, give you an idea of how I typically work. And I do normally use a sketchy type mark. Only time I have a clean line is usually if I'm using some type of drawing aid, like a ruler or a virtual ruler, or a something that allows my marks to stick to a certain line. But I have no drawing aids enabled at this point. I'm just trying to lay down some marks to give you an idea. I don't necessarily like all these marks, but I'm looking at the reference in the kitchen where I'm getting these images from, and then I'm just laying down some marks. Okay, I think this is good. Just to give you an idea. Thank you.